to the 30, the 20, 10, 5. Torrey Horton back to the end zone.
28-yard play. Guess who? Body up the middle, making another move to the outside. 15, 10, end zone again.
Keeps it. Nice move by Brown. He's got space. He's got 6. 35-yard touchdown for Byron Brown. A record-setting night for the South Florida quarterback.
Down so far, a little bit of a high snap. Genty right up the middle. Genty has room. Ashton Genty, give him 6.
Second and long. Lagar tries to pin it in. Runnels, it does. Runnels stays up. The Suns offense 4-3 wheels. Incredible effort for Runnels.
The G5 Hive. All G5, all the time.
Welcome to the G5 Hive Live. We are excited to bring to you the G5 college football coverage you love each and every week. I am Luke, and I am joined by my co-host, Justice. You might notice there's something a little different today. Yes, I'm not wearing my glasses for the show. That's the only thing that's different. No, we got Justice over here. He's doesn't have his backdrop. Justice is out traveling.
I'm not at home. I'm in a convention center in New Orleans. Yeah, it's So apologize if people walk up behind me.
Yeah, so we are doing a little bit different. I have a late work meeting that I have to go to and I have to travel for, and I have to leave tomorrow after work to go to that and gone for about half the week. So this week will look a little different. It's already starting here Sunday, where we're usually doing our Monday show, and we're going to do a portion of it tonight, and Justice at the end will kind of talk a little bit about what the future of the week looks like for us. But this is another week of college football, and we're about I think we are at the halfway point in the college football season.
In terms of regular season, absolutely.
And it's gone fast. It feels like it took forever to get here, and it feels like it's going by quick.
Yeah, it has gone by really fast. Matter of fact, earlier today, I got to be invited by CFF lists. So shout out to Jay Mill and Willie B. Luke got to do that, I guess, week 1, right? You were a guest picker week 1. I got to be a guest picker. This is their final week before they go to how they do their playoffs. Okay. So I got to be a guest picker this week. I did not pick an all G5 team. I do have one P4 player. Okay. Purple Rain Joe, he did pick an entirely G5 team. But overall, we all picked mostly G5. There was only 4 P4 players picked in that video, and I think they'll drop it tomorrow. But mostly G5 players, and I got Haj Malik Williams, Floyd Chalk, Coleman Owen, Raylan Sharp, Jacob Newell, and then my one P4 player was Tyree Walker from Wisconsin.
Okay. Yeah. Well, if you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. If you're watching us on X, please give us a follow, a like, or retweet. And if you're listening to us in podcast form, please leave a rate and review. I think we should just get right into our G5 Hive Players of the Week. Freshman-wise, offense, I had to go with running back Ahmad Hardy, Louisiana Monroe. First off, congratulations to the team. Big win over JMU. He had 14 carries for 82 yards, 1 touchdowns in the Warhawks' 21-19 win over the undefeated Dukes. Hardy continues to be a big part of this offense. Other than the game against Texas, he has seen 14 or more touches per game and has scored a touchdown in 4 of his last 5, Texas being the only game that he did not get a touchdown in. Hardy has accounted for 46% of the total rushes and 57.8% of the total rushing yardage for the Warhawks so far this year. Congratulations, Ahmad Hardy.
That's the second consecutive week. So we've had a theme, I guess, the last 4 weeks, right? It was Fluff Bothwell for 2 weeks, and then the last 2 weeks has been Ahmad Hardy for the freshman offensive player of the week. All right. So the freshman defensive player of the week, first time we've picked him, is Jamali Riddle from East Carolina. He had 9 total tackles, 6 of which were solo, and ECU's 54-24 loss to Charlotte. In high school, he was named an all-region selection in both football and basketball. He was a 3-star athlete, listed as the 111th safety by 24/7 Sports. ESPN had him as the 86th safety, and ESPN had him as a top 120 prospect in the state of Georgia. He chose East Carolina over offers from Army, Georgia Southern, Georgia State, Navy, and others. Had an outstanding game this week for East Carolina. A couple of weeks ago, East Carolina lost, all conference potential first-round NFL draft pick cornerback Siobhan Ravel due to an ACL this season. So it's nice to see folks like players like Jamali Riddle get some playing time and take advantage of those opportunities that are afforded them. And, just a really, really nice game for the freshman there from East Carolina.
All right. I went with my offensive player of the week is quarterback Braylon Braxton Marshall. He was 8 for 14 with 129 yards passing for 3 touchdowns. He added 140 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. That's 269 total yards and 5 touchdowns. The Thundering Herd needed all those touchdowns as he helped propel the Thundering Herd over App State 52-37. Congratulations, Braylon Braxton.
Quick shout out, Gabe Davis. What's up, man? Thanks for tuning in. It's a little we're competing with NFL, some NFL action right now, but it was the only time we could make it work for us both to be here at the same time. So for my offensive player of the week, I went with quarterback Tyler Huff from Jacksonville State. He was 16 for 25, 193 yards passing, and then he was just a beast on the ground, 176 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns to lead the Gamecocks to a big Conference USA victory over the Kennesaw State Owls. Tyler Huff, he didn't start the season as a starter. That was Logan Smothers. I think the first 2, maybe 3 games, Smothers and Tyler Huff kind of rotated. And then I feel like the last 3 weeks or so, maybe 4 weeks, Tyler Huff just kind of like taken over, man. And he has performed, outstanding. He's a transfer from FCS. I believe he came from Furman. I could be wrong about that, but I believe that's where he transferred from.
Yep.
But yeah, Tyler Huff, man, has been an absolute beast for the Gamecocks and definitely deserved player of the week this week. So congratulations, Tyler. My defensive player of the week. We've been talking about this guy since, I don't know, it's either early June or early July when we had the Thundercast pod on. We talk about him every single week. Defensive end edge, Michael Green at Marshall. Man, like we were told back in early June, I think it was, that he was going to be a breakout player. And, dude, has he broken out? I mean, he's having a monster week. It seems like every single week he steps on the field. This week, though, he had 5 tackles, 4 solos, 2.5 tackles for loss, and 2.5 sacks to lead the Thundering Herd to a big victory over App State in the Sun Belt. And he has 7 sacks on the season. He is definitely getting it done on that defensive line for the Thundering Herd.
My defensive player of the week is Jackson Campbell out of Navy. He had 7 tackles, 5 of which were solo, 2 assisted tackles, 2 sacks, and played a big part in the midshipmen's 34-7 win over Air Force and helps Navy stay undefeated at 5-0. Congratulations to Jackson and the rest of the Navy team.
All right. Well, let's get into the news and notes for this week. We don't have a whole lot of player notes, but I'll share what we do have. But kind of first off, you and I talked about that. Maybe we talk about our top 10. So we are our voters in the Hero Sports top 25 poll. We have to submit our votes tonight, and we have a little bit of a shakeup in our poll, right? I mean. Question, like you and I talked about this earlier, like what to do with UNLV, and my thoughts were we had UNLV ranked second, and like personally, I feel like I'd probably keep them there. We haven't fully decided yet, but they lost to Syracuse. It went to overtime. We'll get to that game a little bit later, but man, they I mean, I think you could make an argument that they're one of they could be number one in this poll, right? So UNLV was one, and then I guess what to do with JMU after the loss? Obviously, they're going to drop, and then Army and Navy they just win, baby. They're undefeated. So what do you think there in terms of our top 10 there, Luke?
So how I see it is keeping UNLV at number 2, Boise State at number 1. There was this was kind of just an odd week, just in general, not only for the G5 but all of college football because we had a lot of bye weeks. So you get Boise State at number 1 last week. They win, got to keep them there. UNLV overtime loss to Syracuse looked pretty good. I don't think they really did anything to lose a spot. Memphis was at number 3 and they had a bye, so it's like, do they really jump up somebody? I guess, I mean, yeah, they had a loss, so they could, but I don't know if I'm at a neutral field, do I want Memphis or UNLV? I'm probably leaning UNLV right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tulane. I mean, if anything, maybe Tulane jumps Memphis to go to number 3 because they just, I mean, they feel like they've got it figured out here. And then Toledo, they had a win over Miami of Ohio, but it's like, do I put them over Memphis? Like, I don't think yet. So I think there's a lot of things that stay the same. Liberty with a bye, Sam Houston with a win, but then I think that we do need to raise Army and Navy over James Madison, and James Madison drops maybe to number 10. And that's maybe the biggest shakeup there is that Army and Navy continue to rise into our top 10, and James Madison maybe rounds out that top 10 and keeping, in my opinion, I think Army over Navy just based on that defense.
Yeah, and probably we're not going to go this deep into our votes on the show here, but probably our biggest mover is going to be UL Monroe, right? Got to be. And we had them ranked in, I don't know, like 23rd or something, 24th, something like that.
Yeah, they were.
I think like we were higher than consensus. Consensus, they weren't ranked. So yeah, that's probably. I mean, that we'll talk about their game, but yeah, we probably got to move UL Monroe up quite a bit. All right. So why don't you take us through the undefeated teams through 6 weeks, Luke?
All right. So undefeated teams through 6 weeks are Army Black Knights. They have UAB next week. We've got Navy Midshipmen. They have a bye. And then the Liberty Flames coming off their bye. They have FIU Tuesday night. So
and then we'll get, I guess UNLV and JMU were the two that dropped out with losses this weekend.
Yep. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, our winless teams through 6 weeks are still the same. We have Kennesaw State Owls. They're searching for their first win. They will not find it this next week as they are on a bye. You got the UTEP Miners. They have Western Kentucky on Thursday night. And as we highlighted last week, UTEP and Kennesaw play each other on November 9th. And then the Golden Flashes, the Kent State Golden Flashes play Ball State, which
could be a win for them. Could be a win. Ball State has not looked good.
But Ball State's putting up a lot of points. And, like, when I've been able to watch Ball State, like, there's bits and pieces that they put together. Now, can they put it together for a full game will be another story. Then we've got UTEP joins the Mountain West as some sort of conference realignment. Is there any realignment news that you kind of want to talk about, Justice?
I mean, other than UTEP joining Mountain West, that's kind of like, that happened, since we last recorded. It's huge for UTEP. You would think that they would ask New Mexico State to join, right? It just makes sense. But then a lot of folks think that New Mexico will block that. I don't know. I don't know why they would. I mean, I guess it's a rivalry, but it just seems like that just makes so much sense for New Mexico State to join the Mountain West. Some other names I've seen thrown around are Tarleton State, which would be a team that moves up. And then you go to the Pac-12. I heard some scuttle last week about Sacramento State moving up potentially, and they had raised, like, I forget the number, but it was like some crazy amount of money, like, I don't know, $30-40 million that they have raised to kind of help
Yeah.
their athletics. And
it was like crazy fast too.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, I think the Pac-12 has said that they're not going to do anything right now until the current teams that are in the Pac-12, the 7 teams plus Gonzaga for basketball, they're going to have a meeting, I guess, to kind of hash out like the media deals and media rights and all that kind of stuff, and that they're not looking to do anything until sometime after that point. So things might be a little bit quiet on the Pac-12. You might hear like some rumors, I guess, but certainly they've made it seem like there's not going to be anything official from their end. And then, so I would expect the next things we're going to hear, you know, what happens with the Mountain West. And like I said, New Mexico State to me makes the most sense, but I've heard a lot of you know, rumblings that Tarleton State from Texas could possibly jump up to the FBS level and join the Mountain West.
I've also heard some stuff around Hawaii, not because right now they're just in there for
their football only. Maybe they would join in all sports. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. So that would be another thing. That would probably be more so to help with the basketball schedule and whatnot.
Absolutely. The other big piece of news that came out last week, and I say it was big. I mean, I don't think it's ever going to happen. But hey, it came out, and that's this college football super league proposal. You might have heard us talk about it before, but basically it's, you know, they would take the top 72 teams, mostly P4 teams, and they would compete in the Power 12, made up of a dozen 16 geography-based divisions. The remaining 64 programs, which are all G5, would compete in the Group of 8 conference. There were 2 G5 teams included in that top 72 Power 12, as they called it, and that was Navy and Memphis. Navy just seemed odd to me, but nonetheless, that's what they had, Navy and Memphis. And then if you want to be technical, Oregon State and Washington State are also in that group. To me, that feels a little bit like cheating, right? Because, I mean, I think for all intents and purposes, they're G5, but I don't know if they necessarily consider themselves G5. They're kind of like in no man's land in between the two right now. But in this new proposal, they would be back in the Power 4, which they're calling the Power 12 in this new proposal, and then Navy and Memphis joins them. But, you know, the thing interesting I found in the wording in this article from The Athletic was that, you know, and when it talked about the remaining 64 programs, it used the word mostly G5. And I don't really understand why they use the word mostly, because in reality, it's only G5. There's not a single current P4 team, and not even the 2 teams that are like stuck in no man's land, Oregon State and Washington State. All those teams are in that upper conference. So why they use the word mostly, I don't quite understand, other than they're just, you know, arguing semantics to maybe try to make it feel like, hey, we included some G5, but, you know, or relegated some P4, but they didn't do that. This Super League would be football only. Teams in the bottom 64 could play up for the season, so there could be promotion involved. But I also found this interesting. There's no relegation. There's no, you know, the teams aren't going. Well, I guess other than those P4 teams G5 teams that move up, they'll have to go back down. But they're not, any of those original 72 teams, they're not subject to relegation. Again, another case of the power protecting the power, so to speak. And then the revenue split with this was 94% would be going to the Power 12, or Power 4 as we know it today, top 72 teams, and only 6% going to the Group of 8. And man, I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of this college football super league. I think the SEC basically come out and said, we ain't doing it. And why would they, right? If the SEC is going to do something, it's going to be them in the Big Ten doing their own thing. But I don't know. What do you think, Luke?
I'm just kind of sick of all of the changing landscape in college football and the reshuffling of conferences and whatnot. Because ultimately, you know, it's a business. They're trying to make a lot of money, and like I don't know, just give me football. That's all I want. Like whatever it is, just they're going to do whatever they want to do. Like you said, the SEC is going to do what they feel is in their best interest, and probably be along with the Big Ten, and then there's everybody else. It's just we're halfway through the season, and we've got teams poaching teams from other conferences, and you've got still the stuff from the ACC that is still going on from before the season. There's just a lot of things that like I wish we could focus more on the season itself. And I get it, like from a strategic standpoint, you've always got to be moving, trying to position yourself to be the best in this stuff. I just I don't know. I don't want to hear it yet.
Yeah, I get it. Like it's it's something new every week or every other week. It feels like, and I don't know. Like to me, just get to where you want to get to. And I think at the end of the day, that's Big Ten and SEC doing their own thing, and then maybe everyone else kind of jumping in together at that point. But that domino's probably not going to fall. I think until the ACC stuff shakes out, right, and some of those teams probably leave. At that point, I think then that's when that SEC Big Ten might gain some more traction, or maybe that's going to be the impetus for those ACC teams to say we want out, so they can join the SEC or the Big Ten, right? But those kind of seem like the ACC stuff seems like to be a crucial turning point, if you will, in terms of what's going to happen and what the future of college football is going to be like moving ahead. But hopefully the G5 can continue to maintain their spot at the table in terms of the college football playoffs. All right, couple injury news. We got two here for you. Running back Ontario Brown, Northern Illinois, one of the top running backs in the G5 and in the country for that matter, and a big part of that Northern Illinois Husky offense, got injured in the second quarter, came out of the game. We saw Jalen Poe get a lot more work after that. But no information yet on the seriousness of Ontario Brown's injury. And then quarterback Stone Earl, who's been starting for Marshall, did not get the start against App State. Braylon Braxton, who was Luke's player of the week, got the start. And then the telecast said that Stone Earl was had an ankle injury, I believe it was.
Yep.
But the interesting thing was, I guess he came in and played like a play or two, right? Is that what happened?
Yeah. Yeah. So I watched this game pretty close. So yeah, they were talking about how he had an ankle injury, so he wasn't going to start. And then there was a moment in the second half when Braylon Braxton got like his face or his helmet ripped off. Guy got stuck in his face mask, ripped it off, but he looked to be like hurt. Like not because like if you lose your helmet in play, but it was caused by like a penalty, you could stay on there. But like it was a punt, it was like a third down, so then they punted it or kicked the field goal. I'm trying to remember what it is, but came off. But like he looked like he was, or no, that was on second down. He came off and he looked like he was hurt. I was like, oh crap! But then Stone Earl jogs on the field, does a one play. Handoff, and then in comes Braxton again, and I can't remember if it was after a punt or whatnot, but it was just the one play. So I was like, oh, that must have not been as hurt. But it was just kind of weird listening to the telecast. They talked about how Stone Earl's ankle was hurt, so that's why he wasn't starting. But then, like, when he jogged onto the field, like, they didn't acknowledge it whatsoever, other than like, oh, Stone Earl's coming out here to relieve. And it's just like, you guys talked earlier about like how he was injured. Like, how can he be injured and then now he's playing? And to be fair, we're halfway into the season. Like, everyone's got injuries. Some maybe a little bit more so than others. But some are saying, hey, maybe it's a gamesmanship. You had App State, get them prepared for, or like get them off kilter for something that they haven't seen and they're not prepared for, and they just had an extra long bye week, and this is our chance to get sneak a win, maybe. I am under the impression that I think it was a little bit more than that. I think this was a chance to get Braylon Braxton out there, and I think we got to. I don't know if you can put the toothpaste back in the tube now. Like, we got to see what they did. I'm trying to remember what stat I saw from it, but it was like, this is the most points that the team has scored since whatever time. Like, they put up points, they moved the ball well. I will say that it's not like Braxton was like chucking the ball down the field all the time. They kind of worked around a certain radius and let him do a lot of the work with his legs, but they were really effective at doing it and can run the ball at will. Yesterday. So we'll see. They got Georgia Southern coming up next, but I'm under the impression we're going to see more Braylon Braxton going forward. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us for this particular podcast. Justice, we kind of talked about it at the beginning. I'm traveling for work. I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm going to be gone for about half the week. And then actually my son turns 7 on Thursday, so I'm going to make it back just in time for that. And then we got birthday parties, family and stuff all week, or like getting ready for that Thursday night, Friday night, and then birthday party Saturday and whatnot. So what can the viewers look at for the rest of the week?
Well, I am in New Orleans, and so I can't 100% guarantee that it's going to happen. But my plan is to sometime tomorrow, Monday, to do a solo show. It won't be live; it'll be pre-recorded. To kind of do a solo show to go over our 2020 players, which are the top players in the G5: quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, tight ends, defensive tackles, linebackers, cornerbacks, and safeties. Hopefully, we'll go through that tomorrow, and then also go over some waiver wire additions this week for those folks that play college fantasy football. So look out for that. Probably be released on, I guess, Tuesday morning. But the plan is to try and get that recorded tomorrow evening. So yeah, that's the plan. But like I said, I am in New Orleans, and but I'm gonna do my best to try and get that done sometime tomorrow.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. So come back. Join us next week as we discuss what happened in Week 7, as well as take a look forward to Week 8 of the 2024 season, as we always bring you up to date on the latest news and happenings in the world of G5 college football. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. If you're watching us on X, please give us a retweet, a like, and a follow. And if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please subscribe and leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. Thank you all for your support. Until the next time, we are G5 Hive.